Greetings everyone and welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. Begin with our top stories. Hearings of the different suspects involved in the killing of journalist Martinez Zogo started at the military court this March 25 after moments of acquaintance for both lawyers with different submissions. The proceeding have been adjourned to April 15. We'll tell you more in this edition of Newscast. And squabbles continue to grow within the ranks of some political parties as preparation for 2025 elections deepen. The rankings within the opposition parties, political analysts view as a masterminded game in favor of the ruling CPDM party. And millions came out Sunday to elect Senegal's fifth president after 3 years of unprecedented political turbulence. Those are major stories. Details right ahead. For the first time in 7 years, the anniversary celebration of the ruling CPDM party has taken place without calls for ghost town from separatist fighters. That was yesterday in Bamenda, during which the party proposed that presidential elections be held before the scheduled 2025 and forfeit over 90-year-old chairman to once more be their candidate. Gladys Ambodibang and Collins Ayin.
Originally built for October next year, 2025, militants of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement have called for anticipated presidential elections. They have made the appeal while commemorating the 39th anniversary of their party on Sunday, March 24, during which they also called on their party chairman to be their candidate in the said political consultations.
We have a right to make a suggestion. The president will decide, because we think the earlier we do it, the better. But the head of state is a very intelligent man, a very wise man. He will decide on his own. We only making a suggestion.
Held at the Congress Hall, which they consider as the maternity of the party, on the ashes on the defunct CNU in 1985. Militants say they are ready, having politically educated their grassroots.
You don't doubt our loyalty to the New Deal, but we are calling for early elections because we want to be assured we're living through a period of crisis, and there are so many witch hunters there and there coming to us saying that this will happen, this will happen. We've seen how the president is gradually taking us towards a new era, getting back onto the rails of peace.
After 39 years, some localities are still groaning in abject poverty, reason for an appeal to the government through their CPDM party.
They lack farm to market roads, taking into consideration that this is one of the most economic areas in the northwest region, where they produce rice, they have cocoa, they have coffee, they have palm trees, they have sand, which is the sand that is being used in the whole of northwest and right up to the west region, but they lack roads to transport this sand.
The former SDF alternate parliamentarian from Bengui, also a journalist, alongside 4 others who decamped, were offered as anniversary gift.
Yes, we are reasonable. We are rising. We follow our brother who is here. He came with.
As if to ice the anniversary cake, there was no call for ghost town as the population took to their daily Sunday chores, normally but for a few roadblocks for security reasons.
And squabbles continue to grow within the ranks of some political parties as preparation for 2025 elections deepen. The rankings within the opposition parties, political analysts view as masterminded game in favor of the ruling CPDM party. High chat talk with some analysts in the history.
With 2025 drawing closer, squabbles continue to rise within the ranks of some political outfits like the PCRN, MDR, MP, UPC, and others. Leadership tussle tearing the parties apart. At the time, mobilization ahead of the municipal, legislative, and presidential elections was supposed to be the main focus. The dribbles, confusions, and battles to political
gimmickry is one of the things, because at this point in time, the party in power doesn't want to see any political party which is the ruling CPDM. Because when you look at even appointments, they disappoint a son of the soil who may be your friend or your brother, and they bring you. That's creating conflict between you.
The actions equally cast doubt on the objectivity of the different political leaders, their stance and party laws.
Ailleurs, ce sont des idées. Ici au Cameroun, vous prenez un parti politique, vous mettez un nom. Oubliez le secrétaire général, oubliez le secrétaire de la communication, oubliez tout ce qu'on met, ça se résume à un homme. Et ça ne peut pas marcher malheureusement. On ne va pas inventer la politique au Cameroun.
Most of the political parties are just based on family lines. You see, the president or the chair of that party is the husband. If the wife is there, she's the secretary or the treasurer. It's very unfortunate. So much so that they do things at their beck and con. They care less about whose ass they're going to blow, so much so that people want to take it all. Whereas I think a political party is an association, and associations, they have rules and ways through which they are managed.
The analysts underline the impact of the fallout on the Cameroonian masses.
People who adhere to political parties are like tools. When time for election comes, people run behind them for their votes, and after that, they are dumped. And it's rather unfortunate for the militants or sympathizers, because some sell their consciences for 1,000, 2,000 francs. It's shameful. It's really shameful. We need political education in this country, which doesn't exist. Because if there was political...
And the troubles at the National Party for Reconciliation are getting deeper as the founding father, Robert Kona, fires Cabral Libi from the party. And the party in return, this March 25th, announced the sacking of Robert Kona, a film which seems not to be ending soon.
And millions came out Sunday to elect Senegal's fifth president after 3 years of unprecedented political turbulence. At stake is the potential end of an administration led by ongoing President Macky Sall, whose last-minute attempt to delay the election backfire as the solidly united opposition obliged him to engage the back pedal. Here is a report by Tariq Divine Jr. analyzing the situation in Senegal.
Over 7.3 million Senegalese citizens turned out Sunday to participate in what observers are describing as a closely contested presidential election. Polls signals a crucial moment for the West African nation following months of uncertainty and unrest. Frequently cited as one of the region's most stable democracies, the outcome of Sunday's polls will imply a pivotal decision in determining Senegal's future leadership and political roadmap. Only weeks ago, the outgoing president Macky Sall's failed attempt to postpone the election until the end of the year ignited violent protests, underscoring the tension surrounding the country's political landscape. Macky Sall, constitutionally barred from seeking a third term, thus bows out of the stage. He might be doing so reluctantly, but at least popular pressure paid off, in sharp contrast to elsewhere where disgruntled citizens are simply tear-gassed, molested, and or dumped behind bars. The Senegalese election coincides with the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, yet despite the challenges posed by the fasting, millions of enthusiastic voters poured out of their homes and queued up outside polling stations to cast their ballots, a clear demonstration of their commitment to shaping their nation's future and a sharp contrast to countries where long-serving regimes and anti-democratic practices have fueled apathy within the ranks of citizens over time. Meantime, the release of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko from prison following protests and unrest injected renewed energy into the electoral arena, galvanizing supporters and igniting hopes for change. Sonko's backing of ally Bassirou Diomaye Faye further diversified the prism of choices for voters, offering them a diverse array of options. And though economic concerns, including rising inflation, unemployment, and reforms, loom large in the minds of the Senegalese, they will, at the end of the day, pound their chests in satisfaction. At least they stopped Macky Sall's shady intentions, got Sonko out of jail, and catapulted Diomaye Faye to the limelight of political glory.
And we talk something else now. The hearings of different suspects involved in the killing of journalist Martinez Zogo started at the military court this March 25, 2024 after a moment. Both lawyers with different submissions of proceeding have now adjourned to April 15, 2024. Let's get the atmosphere in this report by our reporter, Cynthia.
17 suspects are waited here at the Yaoundé Military Tribunal this Monday, March 25th, and all answered present at the given time. Jean-Pierre Amogo Belinga, Maxime Eko, Justine Dawe, Bruno Bijang and others here to stand charges levied against them on the killing of journalist Martinez Zogo. Most of them accused of complicity of torture of the Amplitude FM journalist that led to eventual death. The opening hearings here kick-started at about 10:35 a.m. as the only case at the military court this day. A session presided at by Colonel Jacques Bodom, flanked by Gabriel Fenchi and Magistrate Ngunge, and the ministerial bench led by Lieutenant Colonel Celine Belinga. Heavy security dispositions here at the entrance of the tribunal, with a massive turnout of the population to watch the proceedings. The accused appeared in court with at least a lawyer each, but 8 men in black robes here for Maxime Eko. Barrister Claude Asira and Barrister Willie Leke also constituted as lawyers of the state. Being the first major session, it was simply a moment for the different lawyers to acquaint themselves with their opponents and make submissions before effective hearings. Among the demands made include the provisions of disposition for the projection of video evidences and the quest for a live broadcast of the hearings. The case has been adjourned to April 15, 2024.
Trial of Martinez Zogo, a case that has gripped the attention of media professionals in Cameroon, began on Monday at the military court in Yaoundé, as I heard a while ago. In that report, despite hopes for justice, concerns loom over the precarious state of the press freedom in the country, where impunity for violence against journalists remains rampant. More in the following story.
Torture, complicity in torture, murder, these harrowing words have been central to the Martinez Zogo case. On Monday, the trial commenced for the 17 individuals accused in the radio host assassination, marking what some in the Cameroonian press cautiously view as a step towards justice.
The hearing cannot be considered as a victory for now, but a step forward, because this is the first time that people have been charged. This is the fight we are putting up. The trial can be considered as a victory for the press, especially as we've hardly known such in Cameroon. You know, they have always ordered for inquiries without any positive result.
According to a study by Reporters Without Borders, Cameroon boasts one of the continent's richest media landscapes. However, it also ranks among the most perilous places for journalists in Africa. Media professionals navigate a hostile and precarious environment as evidenced by the abduction and murder of Martinez Zogo in early 2023. Martinez Zogo's tragic fate follows a pattern of violence against journalists, including the killing of Samuel Wazizi and the abduction and assault of other journalists by unidentified assailants. Despite the commencement of the trial, concerns persist regarding the effectiveness of the Cameroonian justice system in safeguarding press freedom. The prevailing level of impunity for perpetrators of violence against journalists casts a shadow over the hopes for a fair resolution in the Martinez Zogo case.
We cannot conclude that freedom of the press is guaranteed in Cameroon. We understand that in the Martinez Zogo affair, there are many other things in play. When we know that before Martinez Zogo, we've had others like Jules Kumkum, Wazizi, and so on.
As media professionals cautiously observe the proceedings, they emphasize the urgent need for robust protection for journalists and accountability for those who seek to silence them through violence.
And the winner of La Francophonie 5-Continent Prize on Literature will be known on March 26, 2024. Sami Manga is among the 10 finalists with his novel Chocolate, a book which talks about the other side of cocoa cultivation in Cameroon and Africa as a whole. More with our reporter, Kizi Kiga.
Born in 1980 in Yaoundé, Cameroon, Sami Manga is a writer, a sculptor, and a folklore musician. He is one of the finalists in the famous literary prize scheduled to take place on March 26th. This prize was launched in 2001 by the French-speaking writers and publishers to highlight French-speaking authors that support cultural diversity. His novel, titled Chocolate, published in 2023 by the Canadian publisher SOCIETE. The book focuses on the other side of cocoa cultivation in Africa, particularly Cameroon. Chocolate was well received proof of the interest accorded French media outlets like France Info. If Sami Manga wins, he will become the first Cameroonian to win the prize, just like Congolese writer Alain Mabanchou, the former winner. He says the 5-Continent Prize opens the windows to the world. Apart from Mabanko, other major authors like Tunisian journalist Fauzia Zouari and the Algerian journalist Kamel Daoud have also won the prize.
And that was how we saw it on this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. Coming up next is the brief with Lil Peugeot. As for me, I will be back same time tomorrow. Good night.